Welcome to r/entitled people, where we share stories from your lives about people who think the rules don't apply to them and they should get what they want. Thank you, friends, for subscribing to the channel and for so many likes. And today we have 3 great stories, so subscribe, click the like button, and let's begin. The first story: worst customers I've ever served. It's a good thing I'm leaving. The second story: confronting an entitled parent, banning the rule breakers from the water slide. The third story: know your rights, victory over workplace abuse and overtime theft. The first story is, in honor of my last day approaching, here's the worst table I've ever had. Once upon a time, I got sat a walk-in group of 8, and from the moment they came in the door, they were being rude. The man who ended up paying was arguing with our host and manager, insisting he had a reservation when it was nowhere to be found. He was demanding a table for his anniversary. We told them we could try to fit 8, but our largest table is made for 6. And typically people make reservations for any party with more than 4 people, so it would definitely be a squeeze. This was one of the most demanding tables I've ever had. From the moment they sat down, I was running my A off. I have no issue with people wanting to go cups, plasticware, paper napkins, etc. You do what you need to do to dine safely and happily. But man, could you at least say please and thank you? And maybe try consolidating your requests so I'm not having to get you one thing at a time? In my eyes, I did not do anything wrong as far as service goes. I brought them everything they needed as soon as they asked for it, and met all their demands to the best of my ability. They seemed annoyed that I was slow on their refills. However, when you're drinking out of a to-go cup, I can't really see when you need more ginger ale. They seemed annoyed that their food took longer than normal, but one of them ordered a well-done pork chop. Those take 20 plus minutes to cook, and I warned them of this when they ordered it, as I'm required by the restaurant where I'm employed. It just felt like no matter what I did, I really could not make them happy. I got them a free piece of pie for their anniversary and dropped the bill. I'll never forget this total: $300.97. He puts cash on the table and they leave. I pick up the cash, $301. For those of you playing at home, that's a 3-cent tip, or a 0.1% tip if you prefer to look at it that way. Servers tip out 3% of their sales to bartenders and hosts. I lost money serving this god-awful table and I was peeved. I definitely did cry about it, but I got myself together and kept on through the shift. When my next table gets sat where this previous party was, they open the sugar caddy to sweeten a beverage, and there's no sugar in the caddy. There are just a bunch of pieces of food shoved in there. My previous table had taken all the sugars out of the caddy and replaced it with tomato, beef, and lettuce. I just had to laugh because hey, WTF. A few months go by and I see him come in again, with a large party, and no reservation, and guess who their server is? Me. I'm the luckiest woman alive at this point. I tell the floor manager that I can't do this again, but she tells me it'll be okay, and I have to give them the best service possible or I'm manifesting a bad tip. It sounds silly, but I know she's right, so I give them the best service possible. To-go cups, plasticware, paper napkins, and all. I'm just so scared because the bill keeps getting higher and higher. And then he sends back his steak, and I know I'm done for. Another waste of an hour and a half. I try my best to remedy the situation and drop the bill. A different man picks up the bill this time. I have a little bit of hope here, but I notice the man who paid last time arguing with the man who's paying this time. I come to the conclusion that the man from last time is the son of the man who's paying this time. Son is arguing with his dad. The dad gets up and hands me cash and tells me to keep the change. I say thank you and walk away, just hoping for the best. I let them leave before I count it, because I truly think if it had been a sad excuse for a tip again, and they were still in the restaurant, I would have lost my job that day. The father left me a below average tip, but in that moment it felt like 50%. I believe it was a $420 bill and he left me $60. So much more than I could have hoped for, if I'm being honest. To this day, I'm convinced that the son was arguing with his father, either because 1, he wanted to pay, or 2, he felt the father was tipping me too much. Either way, I'm so thankful for that man. I'm even more thankful that Monday is my last day at this restaurant. So long, service industry. You got me through some rough times and the money's good, but it's such a soul-sucking job for me. Huge kudos to the people who have done this for a long time. 2 years has been more than enough. I certainly understand your outrage. Sometimes there are customers who, with their ignorant and aggressive behavior, deserve only one thing: a vivid expression and a series of foul words. This history of irresponsible and ill-mannered customers who show disdain for the staff is anger and outrage. Their unceremonious demand for a Jubilee table, their lack of appreciation for your work and efforts, and of course the tiny tip after all this is really an indication of their utter disrespect for your labor and your person. Perhaps we should not even give them a moment of our satisfaction, for they seem incapable of truly appreciating the efforts and labor of the staff. Such customers deserve only categorical rejection, and perhaps a swift expulsion from the establishment. So good luck with the next stage of your life, and hopefully your future customers will be more respectful and decent. The second story is, I met and dealt with my first entitled parent at my new job. Recently, I started a new job at an amusement park, and so far I absolutely love it. The colleagues I work with are wonderful, and most of the time the customers make the whole job worthwhile. However, as I said, most of the time the customers are wonderful, but unfortunately that wasn't the case the other day, and I had my own run-in with the not-so-elusive entitled parent. My job consists of work on different activities around the park, with me being placed on our water slide for this particular day. This water slide is not like you would find at a water park. It consists of 3 slides, 2 orange that are faster and gives a more bumpy ride, and 1 yellow which is an enclosed tube that goes around in a spiral, with each guest getting sent down on a rubber dinghy, which we allow 2 people to sit in. We have specific rules in place we have to follow for who we can send down the slide for safety reasons to ensure no one gets hurt. The rules that we have are as follows. No one under 1 meter can ride the boats at all. No one under 1.25 meters high can go down without someone over 16. Anyone over 1.25 meters may ride the orange slide, but must be accompanied with someone else, also over 1.25 meters tall. 2 people over the age of 16 can't ride together. Now in this story, it's the second rule that's the most important. Imagine a nice warm day, which here in the UK we're not treated to that often. Also, it was during a school holiday for England, so we had our fair share of holidaymakers about the park. I was working at the top of the slide by myself. Usually we have 2 at the top, but we were understaffed, with a pretty long queue when I finally got to meet the villain of our story. She was a scouse woman, person from Liverpool, with 3 kids in hand. I began to measure the height of the kids, and all 3 of them fell short of the 1.25 meter high limit. Now, normally on a quiet day, if the kids are just off, we can bend the rules a little bit, if we wished, but these kids were very obviously below the limit. I started in-playing this to the woman. I'm very sorry, but unfortunately the kids are all too short to go down this ride by themselves or each other. Just let them go down, it'll be okay. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to do that for safety reasons. I'm sure it'll be okay, we won't tell anyone. I really can't do that. There's a height chart before you begin queuing, showing the rules for this ride, which you're asked to check before queuing. I checked their height when I was down there and they were fine. Well, unless your children have shrunk on the way up, I find that hard to believe, unfortunately. You're being ridiculous. I have my friend down at the bottom. Let me ask them to come up here to go down with one of the kids, then we can leave the other with you, while I make my way back up once we've gotten off. There's a long queue, and getting your friend to push past people will make others in the queue upset and annoyed, so we can't do that. But it didn't matter. She shouted out from the top of the slide to her friend, Karen, come up here so we can go down this D slide. As I said, your friend coming up won't help, but still I was being ignored, and the entitled parent sat in the boat and instructed her spawn to sit in the other. But before I could say something, her friend came pushing through the queue. The entitled parent instructed her friend to get in the boat so they can go down, which so proceed to attempt to do, but I blocked her way and told them, please, I've already said I can't allow this. Please don't sit in the boats. Just send us down and quit being a D-head about the rules. This caused me to cave. I told them that they will not be going down the slide in the boats, but had to go back down the steps, and are now banned from this ride. But they refused, so I had to call on my radio the big bosses to come and deal with them. I apologized to the other guests waiting and sat down on my control panel till the boss man got there, ignoring everything the entitled parent shouted at me. It all ended with the entitled parent getting not just kicked off the ride, but from the whole park. Now I feel bad for the kids, but it was hot, and I was stressed and I just wanted them gone. I later heard after my work colleague at the bottom of the slide that the lady called me a-hole, but he said he had to disagree with her and he couldn't believe that for a second. Sorry if this is not the best story on here, but it felt good to give an entitled parent a ban on the ride and deal with confrontation, as I've never been good at dealing with that. This story is truly remarkable. It's astonishing how some entitled individuals believe they are exempt from following rules, and that their parental rights outweigh everyone else's. In this situation, you, as an employee, displayed remarkable composure while maintaining this ride, ensuring order and upholding the safety regulations in the face of the customer's stubbornness. Your role in this incident makes you the unsung hero. You prioritize the safety of all visitors by steadfastly enforcing the rules, even in the face of a challenging customer. While it may have been a stressful experience, such moments are essential to maintain the safety and integrity of the park. The fact that the entitled parent was eventually escorted out of the park serves as a valuable lesson for anyone attempting to flout the established rules. Hopefully, your future workdays will be more tranquil, without such encounters with entitled customers. Your dedication to making the park a secure and enjoyable place for everyone is commendable. Keep up the excellent work, and here's to smoother days ahead at the park. The third story is, know your rights in the workplace. Never give up. I worked for a power sports company in Texas. This was the first power sports company I worked for that was heavy into politics. They were the most bigoted, hateful, and racist people I've ever met in my life. I worked for this company for about 3 years, and during my employment I endured heavy workplace abuse in many different forms. One being we all worked free overtime. The owner stated we fell under agriculture exemption because we sold ATVs and UTVs, and those are considered farm vehicles. This refers to Section 213b10. I ignored this statement and worked the free overtime as I had other things to worry about, such as my mental health and workplace environment. Eventually, I had enough of the abuse and started to look further into their claims of overtime exemption. I soon found out they were incorrect and presented this information to them. They then claimed we fell under automobile exemption because we sell motorcycles and they're considered automobiles. I took that with a grain of salt and told them I would also verify that with the law. That took months. It was impossible to find anything online that would help my case. I spent several hours on the phone with different DOL claims employee and even had some tell me I was completely incorrect, that I fell under different exemptions on fact sheet number 17A and would be unrelated to what the company was claiming. I literally had to tell the DOL claims employee that they were wrong and had several of them hang up on me. I stayed persistent in my beliefs because I felt it was true. This company was trying to sway definitions how they wanted to, and I was not going to allow it unless it's the truth. You only get one shot to file your case with the DOL, so you have to be sure you're ready. One day I was on the phone with a DOL claims employee and explained all the above. They were stunned to hear how I was being treated by both the company and DOL claims employees. This person listened and took the time to outline everything I had gathered together and worked on. I was put on hold for a few moments when they came back on the phone and said, "Okay, I found what you're looking for and it certainly helps you. I found a subsection to Section 213b10, and this is what it states. For the purpose of Section 213b10, motorcycles, scooters, and other two-wheel motorized vehicles are not considered automobiles." That was the nail in the coffin. Today, and after more than a year of investigation, we won and will receive 2 years of overtime back pay. Some employees have been working there for 6 to 10 years and have back pay that the DOL cannot recover. DOL can only go back up to 2 years. It doesn't end here, but this is a giant win for all those who had their labor, money, and time stolen from them. My hopes are to obtain a class action suit against the company for the rest of what is owed. Thousands of dollars have been stolen from the people for their hard work, and I'll do my best to recover what is rightfully owed. Wow, it's incredible how some companies are willing to go to great lengths to avoid their obligations to their employees. It sounds like the company tried to screw you over, but you didn't give up and stood up for your rights. Clearly, you were so persistent that DOL claims employees began to reconsider their own beliefs. Now that you've won that battle, perhaps you should consider erecting a monument to your persevering spirit right in your workplace. Call it winning against definitions. Go for the rest of your compensation, and may your labors be rewarded. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Have a good day.